Most people don't fail because they lack talent. They don't fail because they were dealt a bad hand, or because the world was unfair to them. They fail, slowly, quietly, invisibly, because of what's happening inside their own mind. And the terrifying thing? Most of them never see it coming. Today, I want to talk about the 7 hidden attitude diseases that are silently destroying your potential, your future, and your life. Most people carry at least 3 of them without even knowing it. The first one is indifference, the shrug, the "I don't really care" mentality. If you've ever caught yourself saying, "I can't see getting that worked up about it," that's indifference talking. And here's the brutal truth about indifference. You cannot drift your way to a great life. You cannot coast your way to the top. Every single person who has ever built something worth having poured energy into it, relentless, passionate, all-consuming energy. Now here's where people go wrong. They tell themselves, "If I had a better opportunity, I'd give it everything I've got." That's the lie. That's the self-deception. Because the habit of giving everything you've got is built right now, in whatever imperfect circumstance you're currently standing in. Wherever you are, pour it on. Whatever you're doing, pour it on. Not because the situation deserves it, because you deserve to become the kind of person who shows up fully. That's how character is forged. That's how opportunity is created. And that's how you kill indifference before it kills you. The second disease is indecision, the mental paralysis that locks people in place for months, years, even lifetimes. I know people who spent a decade sitting on the fence about one decision. They hesitated on one business, one relationship, or one direction, and watched the world move on without them. Here's what nobody tells you about indecision. The cost of staying stuck is always higher than the cost of being wrong. Think about that. If you choose the wrong path, you find out quickly, you correct course, and you move forward with better information. But if you never choose, you lose time, momentum, confidence, and opportunity all at once. That's a far heavier price to pay. A life full of real adventure is a life full of decisions. The ones that worked give you success. The ones that didn't give you wisdom. Both are valuable. Both move you forward. So stop asking, "What if I'm wrong?" Start asking, "What am I gaining by doing nothing?" Pick a direction. Go. Adjust as you go. That's the only way this works. The third disease is doubt, and the worst version of it is self-doubt. Not doubt in your plan. Not doubt in the market. Doubt in yourself. Doubt that you have what it takes. Doubt that you'll still be standing when things get hard. Doubt that someone like you could actually build something like that. Self-doubt is a thief in disguise. It wears the mask of realism, calls itself being practical, and quietly talks you out of your future before you ever give it a chance. The antidote is this: become a believer, not a blind optimist, a believer. Someone who understands that self-worth is not arrogance. It is the foundation on which all real progress is built. You must believe in something greater than your present circumstances, and that belief must start with believing in yourself. The moment you genuinely understand what you are capable of, not what you've done, but what you're capable of, everything starts to shift. The fourth disease will break you if you let it: worry. I'm not talking about the occasional anxious thought. I'm talking about chronic, compulsive, relentless worry. It is the kind that follows you into sleep, sits with you at the breakfast table, and whispers worst-case scenarios into every decision you make. I know this one intimately because I used to be a world-class worrier. My family used to wish I was more of a warrior. I wasn't. I was a worrier, and it cost me years. It cost me health. It cost me relationships. Worry is devastatingly expensive. It will drain your energy, erode your confidence, strain your body, cloud your judgment, and quietly dismantle everything you're trying to build. The answer, and I know this sounds simple, is to give it up. Not because it's easy, because it's worth it. I spent almost an entire year breaking the worry habit. It was one of the hardest years of my life. But on the other side of that year, I discovered something remarkable. You can live an extraordinary life free of worry. Not free of problems, not free of hard seasons, free of the useless, draining, crippling habit of worry. It can be done. And it starts with deciding you're done paying that price. The fifth disease is overcaution, the timid approach to life, the endless negotiating with risk. I used to do this too. I'd play out every possible scenario of what could go wrong and talk myself out of acting before I'd even begun. What if this fails? What if the timing is wrong? What if I'm not ready? It was the language of playing it safe. And playing it safe is its own kind of disaster, a slow, comfortable disaster, but a disaster nonetheless. Here's the thing that changed everything for me. I finally accepted that life is all risk. All of it. From the day you were born, you were already in the arena. Getting married, risk. Starting a business, risk. Having children, risk. Investing your money, risk. Even staying still is a risk. The risk of stagnation, the risk of regret, the risk of arriving at the end of your life and realizing you never really lived it. So if it's all risky anyway, and it is, you might as well risk something worth having. Stop asking for safety. Ask for adventure. Better to live 30 years fully alive than 100 years locked in a corner, safe and suffocating. Give it a go. That's what it's for. The sixth disease is pessimism, and it is among the most contagious and destructive forces I've ever encountered. The pessimist doesn't build. They critique. They don't look for what's possible. They catalog what's wrong. They will walk into a room full of opportunity and spend 20 minutes telling you why none of it will work. And the saddest part? They're proud of it. They call it wisdom. They call it experience. But it's not wisdom. It's a disease of the mind that keeps them trapped while the world moves forward around them. The pessimist looks through the window and doesn't see the sunset. They see the smudge on the glass. I'm serious about this. Your life is not primarily shaped by what happens to you. It's shaped by how you think about what happens to you. The same circumstance can destroy one person and inspire another, based entirely on how they choose to interpret it. That's not wishful thinking. That's just the way human beings are wired. Poor thinking habits keep most people poor, not poor working habits. Most people work hard, but very few people have trained themselves to think well, to think in the direction of possibility, solutions, and growth. Your mind is a factory. Whatever you pour into it all day long gets manufactured into the reality of your life. If you start every morning loading up on catastrophe, negativity, and reasons why things won't work, that's what your days will look like. Guard the door of your mind. You decide what gets in. You decide what gets built. This is your life. Don't let anyone dump their garbage into your mental factory. And then there's the seventh, the one that seals your fate if you let it run unchecked. Complaining, whining, griping, murmuring. The habit of taking whatever is hard, whatever is unfair, whatever is disappointing, and voicing it, loudly, repeatedly, to anyone who will listen. I'm going to be direct with you. Complaining is one of the most expensive habits you will ever have. Not in money, in time, in energy, in relationships, in momentum. Every minute you spend complaining is a minute you didn't spend solving. Every complaint you voice is a story you're telling yourself about helplessness, about being a victim, about how the world is against you. And the more you tell that story, the more you believe it, and the more you believe it, the more it becomes true. 5 minutes of complaining wastes 5 minutes of your life and potentially begins something much worse. It is the slow erosion of your drive, your ambition, and your belief that things can change. You can dress it up however you want, saying, I'm just being realistic, or I'm just venting. But complaining, at its core, is surrender. It is giving power to your problems instead of giving power to your solutions. Stop it. The moment you feel the urge to complain, redirect it. Ask instead, what can I do about this? What's the next move? What does this situation require of me? That single shift, from complaining to problem solving, is one of the most powerful changes you can make in your life. So here's where we land. 7 diseases. 7 silent killers. Indifference, indecision, doubt, worry, overcaution, pessimism, and complaining. Every single one of them is invisible. Every single one of them feels justified when you're in the middle of it. Every single one of them has a cure. And the cure starts with awareness, with having the honesty to look at yourself and say, I've been carrying this, and I don't have to anymore. You are building something, a life, a career, a legacy, a family, something that matters. And you cannot afford to let attitude diseases quietly rot the foundation from the inside. The war is on. Every single day, it is on, and you have everything you need to win it, starting right now.